Vertical Joe's, the professional women's playground.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Firestarter from the world famous Vertical Joe's, and today I am going to teach you how to install your X pole. Today I have a beautiful titanium gold 45 millimeter pole from no other than the best pole in the world, X Pole US. So let's get right into it. All right. So before you get ready to assemble your pole, make sure you have all your parts. Let's take a look at our parts. All right. Boom. All right. So here I have my ceiling dome and the attachment that goes with it. Right here I have my B pole, and you know it's the B pole because it has the adjuster on it, okay? So this is a beautiful X-lock pole, which means I don't need a spool to put the pole on spin or static. I'm just gonna turn that little button, all right? Here is my A pole right next to it, and I made sure to measure before choosing to install. So I have both of my extensions that I need for my pole, and then I have my X joints here, and of course my tools. All right. So with that said, we are ready to roll. All right. So now that you're sure you have all of your parts, there are a few things that should be done prior. Before starting, I made sure to use my measuring tape to measure my place from floor to ceiling. Okay. From there, I took a step ladder and I used a stud finder to find the ceiling joist to make sure that I put the pole on a joist so that I do not risk damaging my ceilings or hurting myself. All right. Lastly, I like to take my ceiling dome and place it up top and take a pencil and make a little circle so I know exactly where the pole is going to go when I take it up into the air. All right. Let's see if you can see it. Okay. You see right here. You can see where I have a circle on my ceiling. All right, so now that I have everything in place, I'm ready to assemble my pole. Boom. So assembling your pole is super duper easy, guys. I'm gonna start first by taking my B pole and making sure my B pole is on static, okay? If my B pole is not on static, I'm not gonna be able to assemble this thing, all right? I like to line my pole on its side and then line up the joist. I like to lay my pole on the side and then I line up my next attachment and my X joint, okay? So make sure you have the proper tools for your X joint. And if you're unfamiliar with the X joint, this is what we use to keep the pole attached together, okay? Old school poles have screws. Sophisticated X poles have X joints, okay? And you notice it has expand and contract on here, all right? So expanding locks the joint and contracting loosens the joint, okay? So I'm gonna make sure that the joint is closed on both ends first, all right? I'm going to slide the joint into place, lining up with these two circles, and then I'm going to lock the joint. All right, so here I go. You see my circle here. I have a circle here. Then I simply slide my joint in like so. All right, so you see how the joint is flush? And I got my two circles here. All right, and if you remember, you had one way to expand and to contract. So the joint is already contracted, and I'm gonna expand it so that I can lock the pole. All right. Boom. So once I do that, you notice now the pole is not going to come apart. So you see I had a little bit of separation, which means I need to turn it just a bit more. You don't have to over tighten the joints, guys. Boom. You see that? Seal the deal. All right. So I'm going to slide that baby down. All right. Now, because my pole is taller, I have to add on a few more extensions. So remember to add your extensions from largest to smallest, okay? And I've done myself a favor by having my joints already inside of the extension. So here I go with my next joint, slide that baby in like so, make sure that I am lined up, got my tool, lock that baby down. Okay, shoot. So I'm about to get this pole up. You know why? Because I got to teach a class, y'all. All right. Boom. All right. And here is my final joint here. As you can see, I got my joint. I got my final extension. All right. And I'm going to slide that baby in. Yeah. Nice and easy. Got my tool. Again, lock that thing up. Woo. Bow. Okay. Locked up. All right. So the entire pole is built in a matter of minutes, y'all. Just like that. Now, I'm going to take my lovely ceiling dome and my ceiling flange here. So now I'm going to take my ceiling flange, okay? And I'm going to slide it into my top extension here. Nice and easy. Boom. Okay? Ha! Now it's time to raise this baby up. So the joy of X-Pole is that the poles are bottom loading. So I don't have to climb all the way up there to get my pole set. All right? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab my little pole, my big pole actually, go ahead and put my ceiling dome on, and I'm gonna walk it up. Now that I've walked it up, just wanna make sure that I have it exactly where I need it, which is here, which is lined up with my circle that's on the ceiling, okay? Boom. So everything looks perfect. Now all I have to do is tighten the pole to the ceiling, all right? So to do that, the bottom of the pole, which is the B pole, has 3 screws. The 3 screws are hiding the adjuster. The adjuster is how you're gonna make your pole nice and tall so that it fits flush with the ceiling, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and grab my tool, loosen my adjuster screws, and crank this thing into the ceiling. So here we go. Hey, buds. So since I don't have a friend to help me, here I am loosening my adjuster screws, all right? So make sure you have the right tool, and we're gonna loosen these 3 screws. All right, left is loose, and right is tight. All right, here we go. All right. All right, bud, so here we go. My adjuster screw is loose, and I'm gonna start turning my pole so that I can begin to expand it towards the ceiling, all right? So I'm turning it, left is loose, right is tight, so rotating my pole to the left is gonna make it taller to the ceiling. And if you pay close attention to my adjuster here, you see it's starting to have more space between the base of the pole and the bottom of the adjuster, okay? So I'm gonna keep turning her, turning until she reaches the ceiling, okay? And see, this is the importance of making sure that you measure first. Can you imagine if I hadn't measured my pole first, how I'd be just cranking this thing up into oblivion? Oh my goodness, that would take forever, okay? Also, I do not enjoy putting the pole up, taking it down, putting it up, taking it down. You know what I mean? And that tends to happen when you don't measure. Make sure that you measure so that you know exactly what you got going on, okay? Okay. All right, guys. So I am cranking her up, okay? And she is now resting on the ceiling, okay? How gorgeous is that? Okay, so now that she's resting on the ceiling, you would want to take this time to make sure that your pole is level, make sure that it is straight. The great thing about the way the dome is set up, it helps you be able to visibly see if the pole is tipped or not. I did make it a point to, I had my pole here before, so I already know where the top and the bottom is, but I made it a point to make a marking on the floor. That way I know exactly where it lines up with the top, okay? So now, since I am flush against the ceiling now, I'm just gonna tighten my pole just enough to have good tension between the pole and the floor, okay? So you don't have to over tighten it, guys. You just want your pole to be firm, all right? So I'm gonna twist it until it feels firm, and then I'll give it a little shake, all right? So as you can see, I gave it a little shake. There's still a little bit of room to turn, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and crank it just a little bit more and give it a little shake, all right? So if the pole feels good to you, you're gonna go ahead and give it a little bit of testing, all right? So before I test it, you gotta remember the pole is not locked, guys, all right? So in order to lock my pole, I want to tighten those 3 adjuster screws that I showed you prior, okay? So I'm gonna take my tool and I'm gonna turn these right is tight, okay? And let me show you something very important here, just so you don't miss this detail. There's a red line on your adjuster, okay? Let me show you what that looks like. Expo is a bomb. They've done so many things to make sure that we are safe. So look, guys, there's a red line here, okay? So with this red line, I wanna make sure my red line is lined up with one of these little knobs here, okay? If I don't line it up, I run the risk of, you know, scratching my leg, possibly injuring myself, or say you're training a client. You risk the client getting scratched up, and these are not a cute scratch, y'all. It hurts, okay? So you don't want that in your life. So you wanna go ahead and make sure you line it up with that red line, all right? So now with that said, guys, in a matter of minutes, my pole is up and she is ready to go. Now, I will be quite gentle with my pole at this time, only because, one, I am on top of carpet. So being on top of carpet, there tends to be moments where the pole may need more tension. Because once it kind of settles into the carpet, you know, carpet has a little bit of give to it. So that means that I will probably need to, you know, do a few laps on the pole first before it is locked, okay? So that means I'm gonna be quite gentle as I pole. But make sure to give the pole a nice testing to see how she feels, all right? And lucky for me, I have an Xpert with the X-Lock. So to put the pole on spin, I take a simple turn of the knob at the bottom, and now my pole is on spin, all right? And there you have it, guys. In a matter of minutes, I went from no pole to a beautiful X pole, all right? So again, this is an easy process. Anyone can do it. If you're afraid or you feel like you need some help, please commission a friend, all right? If you need to get a man involved or someone, you know, strong, or maybe you're not comfortable using the stud finder, I totally understand. Go ahead and have someone assist you. That way you practice safe pole. So that is it. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching and practice safe pole. Be sure to visit us at Vertical Joe's in Atlanta anytime that you are coming through our city, or join us online for classes with Vertical Joe's.